Hello students, welcome to the lecture 7 of Embedded System. In this lecture we are going to study stack operations, software interrupt, swap and instructions related to the PSR, that is Program Status Register of ARM7. Objectives of the lecture: at the end of this lecture you will be able to explain the following things related to the ARM7: stack operations, software interrupt instructions and program status register instructions of ARM7. So let us start with the first one, stack operations. Students, you know stack. Stack is that part of the data memory which is used during the execution of the program, specifically where you are using the subroutine. Okay, another code you are calling from the main program and you are returning from that code into the main program. This is called as subroutine. In the subroutine execution and in context switching, we are using the stack memory. In case of ARM7, R13 register of ARM7 is treated as stack pointer. Now, in case of ARM7, you will be delighted to know that it is containing 6 different stack pointers. Means instead of having one stack pointer which was present in earlier all the microcontrollers, here you are having 6 different stack pointers are there. For user and system mode, one is there, that is R13. For FIQ it is R13 underscore FIQ. For interrupt request it is R13 underscore IRQ. For supervisor it is R13 underscore SVC. For undefined it is R13 underscore undefined. And for abort it is R13 underscore ABT. So these are, you can see that for 6 different modes it is having 6 different stack pointers. It is a good thing. It is a very good thing in case of ARM7. It is making it more useful for context switching. Context switching means shifting from one main program to another and coming back to the calling program. So like that, when you are working with different modes, you are working with different stack pointers. So this is the hardware available in the ARM7 which is making it very easy for you to have context switching during the execution of the program. Now, about the stack memory. In case of stack memory, you can have the stack memory accessed in two different ways: ascending or descending. Ascending means it grows towards higher memory address. Stack pointer will get incremented when you are pushing the data on the stack. Means when you are going to store the data on the stack pointer will be incremented there. In case of descending mode, the stack pointer is decremented. It means it grows towards lower memory addresses. Then there is another concept called as full stack and empty stack. The stack pointer points to an address that is last used location. Means it is referring to that location where currently something is stored. This is called as the concept of full stack. The other one is empty stack. In case of empty stack, stack pointer SP points to an address that is the first unused or empty location. So let us see how it works with the stack. Now, which instructions are used for stack related operations? Here you can see the list of the instructions in the last two columns. You can see there are LDM and STM versions there. So here LDM is used for pop operation. Pop operation means taking the data from the memory. Okay, so you are collecting something from the memory, that is called as a pop operation. For pop operation from the stack memory, you are using load multiple instruction. For storing the data into the memory, that is push operation, you are using store multiple instruction. Now, with load and store instruction, there are 4 different addressing modes are specified here. First one is full ascending, then FD, full descending, EA, empty ascending, ED, empty descending. Let us see the first one, full ascending mode. So this is the scenario given before the instruction. R1 contains 2, R2 contains 3 and SP contains 80014. Okay, so when this instruction is executed, before that, this is the scenario of the stack memory. So currently the stack pointer contains the address 80014. So it is pointing to this address. Now this address contains one number 1. Then the next location is 18. That is in ascending order. If you increase the stack pointer, the next location will be 18. That is, you are advancing for ARM processor. Remember, you are advancing memory pointer always by 4. Don't forget it. So here you are advancing it by 4. So this location is empty here. Okay. Now what is the instruction? It is full stack push operation. The instruction is STMFA stack pointer exclamatory mark in bracket R1 and R2 are given there. It means it will transfer the contents of R1 and R2 onto the stack memory pointed by stack pointer, and every time stack pointer will be in ascending means it will be incremented by 4. So here you can see after the execution of the instruction, actually stack pointer is incremented by 8. Why? Because we have transferred 2 register contents into the memory. Therefore, stack pointer is advanced from 14 to 1C here. And the content of R1 are stored first, then the content of R2 are stored here. So this is about the full ascending mode of ARM7 stack operation. Now what will happen in full descending mode? In case of full descending mode, it will go on decrementing by 4. So you can see that before execution it was pointing to 14. Now it is pointing to the C. But remember, in the current location you are not storing anything. The next location is empty. So in case of full descending mode, it is pointing to current location which is holding some data. So it will not store anything in the current location. Here you can see that the syntax of the instruction is STMFD SP exclamatory mark in curly bracket R1 comma R2. You can specify n number of registers there. Not necessary that it should be R1 and R2 only. This is just for example I have taken here. So what will happen? It will decrement by 8 and it will point to the C location where your current contents are stored. So it will first store R2 and then it will store R1. Remember the sequence of the storage. Always it will store R1 in lower location and R2 in higher location. That is another important thing you have to remember about the stack operation. Next one is empty ascending. Now what is the difference here? In previous case, C was containing the address here. 14 was containing the address here. Here the current location is empty. Current location is treated as empty location and there your data is stored and then it will advance. So always it is pointing to the memory location which is empty. So remember, in case of empty ascending mode, stack pointer will always point to the empty location, and whenever it goes on advancing there, it will go on filling up the memory location. So the syntax is STMAD SP exclamatory mark in bracket R1 comma R2. So this is empty ascending mode. The next one is empty descending mode, STMED. Sorry, the previous one should be STMEA. This should be STMED. Here, again, the current location is empty, but instead of this ascending, it is descending. It means it will go on decrementing. Initially it was C, then it will decrement by 4, it will become 8, then it will decrement by 4, it will become 4. So in the current location, it is storing the contents of R1, and next location, it is storing the contents of R2. Okay, so this is about the 4 addressing modes related to the stack operation. For push and pop, actually you are using load multiple and store multiple instructions, and there are 4 addressing modes: full ascending, full descending, empty ascending, empty descending. So the total 4 addressing modes are present there. Then we will go to the next instruction, that is the swap instruction. Swap is nothing but exchanging the contents here. This is slightly different in case of ARM7. In this case, you are using three locations there, actually 2 registers and 1 memory location. You can see that here the syntax of the swap is RD, RM, RN. So how it executes, we will see in the next slide. So first let us see what is the syntax there. It's a SWP, that is a swap a word between a memory and a register, and SWPB, swap a byte between memory and a register. So how the instruction executes? You can see that the instruction example given is SWP R0, R1, R2. So R0 and R1 are general purpose registers, whereas R2 here is acting as memory pointer. So R2 is containing the address 9000. So at 9000 location you can see the number is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. R0 is empty. R1 is containing one number, 4 times 1, 4 times 2. So when this instruction is executed, what will happen? Now here you can see that the first operation takes place is the content of memory are transferred to the register R0, and then the second part is the content of R1 are transferred to the memory. So this is given in this block how the instruction is executed. The content of memory, which was previously 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, that is transferred to R0. This is the first step. And the second step is the content of R1 are transferred to the memory. 4 times 1, 4 times 2. So this is about the swap instruction present there. This is useful in case of the operating system routines. So when it is executing operating system routines, many times swap instruction is very useful. Then we will go to the SWI, another important instruction of ARM7, software interrupt. Software interrupt or SWI, it is a type of exception, and the application of the software interrupt is to call operating system subroutines. So when you want to execute the subroutines, you are using the software interrupt. So how this works, it is given like this. In the normal program flow, we will explore it using this comparison in normal program flow and exception. So what happens in exception? Exception is that rare situation where you have to take some different action there in case of the program execution. For example, you can take the flood situation. In case of flood situation, you have to take some different measures there. Okay, in normal case or in case of corona, what we have done, we have switched to online teaching. Okay, so this is nothing but we have done the exception there. In normal case, what we were doing since last many years, we were having regular in-class teaching. So we were conducting the lectures inside the class in front of the student. Those were the live lectures. Okay. Whereas in case of this corona situation, what we are doing, we are conducting online lectures. This is called as exception. We are doing some exceptional procedure there. Similarly, in case of microcontroller, if you want to handle such type of situations which are having some different outcomes, in that case it is actually executing the exceptions. Okay, so normal program executes sequentially. म्हणजे तुमचं normal जे routine असतं त्या पद्धतीने. Okay, like you are coming to the college, you are attending the lectures, you are attending the practicals, then you are going to the home, again you are coming to the college, and so on. So this is normal. So this is called a sequential execution. Same way the program executes. It will fetch the instruction, execute it, then it will go to the next instruction, it will execute it, then it will go to the third instruction, execute it. exceptionally there are some branches are there are present, like in your college also. In your college life, what you are having some breaks there for some cultural programs. You can call it as branches, and then once again coming you are coming back to the study. So study, games, then study, then cultural programs, then study. Like that you are continuously going through the your normal routine. So in normal execution, the program executes in a user mode. When the exceptions or interrupts occurs, the program is jumping to the different memory locations. Those are called as architecturally defined, like vector table. We are going to a different thing. Like in case of Corona, what we are doing, we have switched to the online lectures. Okay, this is called as exception. Similarly, in case of ARM7, it is going to jump to a particular memory locations. Okay. In ARM, software interrupt is the system call exception. Now, what are the different types of the ARM exceptions? Total 7 ARM exceptions are listed here. Reset, undefined instruction, software interrupt, prefetch abort, data abort, IRQ and FIQ. Reset is executed whenever CPU reset pin is asserted. Means you are applying the reset signal to the reset pin. Undefined instruction whenever the CPU tries to execute an undefined opcode. Software interrupt, it executes when SWI instruction is executed. Prefetch abort, when CPU tries to execute an instruction prefetched from an illegal address. Data abort, when data transfer instruction tries to read or write at an illegal address. Illegal address means it can be the address, but it is currently not possible with the physical memory. It is not available in the current memory. This is called as an illegal address. Then the next one is IRQ, interrupt request, FIQ, fast interrupt request. So these are the total 7 different types of ARM exceptions present there. Reset, undefined instruction, software interrupt, prefetch abort, data abort, IRQ and FIQ. Now let us explore SWI instruction in detail. Software interrupt. What are the different processor modes are present in that instruction? So there are total 3 modes are present there: user, IRQ and supervisor. User is the normal program execution mode. IRQ is a general purpose interrupt handling. Supervisor, a protected mode for the operating system. What are the different registers used for SWI instruction? So it is same that which we have seen previously. I am just revising the ARM instruction set. It consisting of R0 to R15 16 registers plus CPSR. CPSR is nothing but current program status register. Out of that, R13 is stack pointer, R14 is link register and R15 is program counter. So terminology, the terms exception and interrupts are often confused. Exception usually refers to an internal CPU event like floating point overflow. Means your result is not fitted in the destination, or you are dividing some number by 0, like that. There are some difficult CPU events are there which are not giving you normal answers. In that case your exception occurs. Okay. The next one is interrupt. Interrupt is actually the something that is triggered by some external device. So if external device want to communicate with a CPU, it will generate interrupt. And exception is actually created by the CPU internally. But in case of ARM architecture, many times both are treated same, exceptions and interrupts. Now, what the SWI instruction does? SWI is nothing but software interrupt. It is often called as software trap. It is actually system call to the OS. It allows the user program to call the OS, that is software interrupt are how system calls are implemented. When SWI instruction executes, the processor changes mode from user to the supervisor mode on the ARM, and it disables the interrupt. So remember, it changes the mode from user to supervisor, and it disables interrupt. So what happens in the execution of the SWI instruction? When this instruction executes, the ARM architecture defines first the vector table. What is a vector table? Vector table is that part of the memory location. So here it is shown here. It is storing the address of all the interrupt handlers. So whenever the instruction is executed, it will pick one address from this table and it will go to that handler. So what is a handler? Handler is nothing but a code, a subroutine related to that particular SWI, software interrupt. So the ARM architecture defines a vector table indexed by exception type. One SWI CPI does the following. It will change the program counter to the address 0A, and it will also set link register SPSR, that is saved program status register, both are from supervisor mode, and it will change the CPSR to the supervisor mode, and IRQ is disabled. How it does? So when you execute this SWI 0x10, it will go to the vector table entry 08. From that it will go to the software handler code. It will complete the code, it will execute it, and it will come back to the main program. So it is a complete process where it is going to one subroutine, it will execute it, and it will come back to the main program. Okay. What happens on an SWI if not enough space in the... So what happens normally? The space is not available in the vector table, so it will always go to the software handler, and from there it will come back to the user program. Okay. Now how this SWI is executed? The same thing here, it is given here. First it will store the link register with the address of the instruction following the SWI. Then it will change the SPSR with the current processor status register. Then it will change program counter with vector table address. It will change the CPSR mode to the supervisor. It will mask the IRQ interrupt. So it will take total 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps. So you have to explain this instruction carefully. 5 different steps you have to take: link register modification, SPSR of supervisor mode modification, program counter modification, CPSR mode bits modification, CPSR I bit modification. So total 5 steps are taken during the execution of software instruction execution. Then PSR instruction, processor status register instruction. When this instruction is executed, it is actually transferring the contents from program status register to the general purpose register, or vice versa. So here are two flavors are present here. One is MRS, second is MSR. When you give MRS instruction, it will transfer the contents of program status register to the GPR. When you give MSR, it will transfer the contents of GPR to the PSR. How this instruction is executed? MRS means copy the program status register to a general purpose register. MSR means move a general purpose register to a program status register. There are two things available in the MSR. One is transfer GPR to PSR, or transfer immediate value to the PSR. This is given here. Next. So let us see once again CPSR and SPSR content before going to the instruction. This is a 32-bit register. Out of that, there are 4 fields are available: flags, status, extension, and control. In the flags, you are having 4 flags available there: NEN, Z, C, V. Then status and extension are empty. In control field, you are having total 8 flags available there: I, F, T. Flag number 7 is I. 6 is F, 5 is T. I means IRQ disable, F means FIQ disable, T means thumb mode, arm and thumb mode switching, and bit number 0 to 4. Bit number 0 to 4 are used to indicate the current processor mode. If it is supervisor mode, it will save the content like supervisor. So according to that, bit patterns are assigned there. Okay, now how the MSR and MRS instructions are useful, that is given here. This is the actual code used to enable the IRQ interrupt request. If you want to enable the interrupts coming under IRQ, this is the code given, MRS R1, CPSR. Then it will transfer the contents of CPSR into the R1. BIC is nothing but bit clear. Bit clear R1. Which bit is cleared? So it is ended with 80. 80 means bit number 7. So what is the 7th bit? It is I bit. I bit is nothing but disable IRQ. When you make this bit 0, it means you are enabling the IRQ. When you make it 1, you are disabling the IRQ. So what will happen? Before execution of the instruction, this I bit is 1 means it is disabled. After execution, this I bit is small means it represents the bit is made 0. When this flag is made 0, it means IRQ is enabled. So using MRS and MSR, we have particularly accessed a particular bit of the CPSR. Remember, we haven't modified any other thing. You cannot directly transfer the contents to the CPSR. You have to use MRS and MSR instructions only. Okay. So for that, here you have to use MRS and MSR instruction, and using these instructions you can do the modifications in case of CPSR here. So for that you can use this. Okay, so with this all the instructions of ARM7 are completed here. We have completed the full instruction set of ARM7. Thank you students. Thank you one and all.